Right then everyone, so unfortunately this video was meant to be a lot more ambitious. I was showing the trailers and had just more of an in-depth edit, but in the end my laptop is just really crap, so that just has not worked out. So instead I'm just showing gameplay of me fucking about in Breath of the Wild, and later we party towards the end of the video. Without all that With all that out of the way, though, please, I hope you all still enjoy the video. Alright then everyone, welcome back to the channel once again. Today I'm just discussing the Nintendo Direct, so it's just happened a few hours ago, at least as I'm recording this. I will say, I think overall, I'd say it was a good Direct. I think, personally, I don't know how much of it was necessarily for me, but I think, particularly JRPG fans, you all are eating good right now. There was quite a few very big announcements. I think some things, I mean, we'll get into it a bit more later, but some things definitely could have been a bit more expanded on. Some things should have been less expanded on. But I would say, like, just to keep it brief, I think, I would say, like, a B+ rating, I think, is fair. Anyway, so let's get into what was announced. So, I'm just reading through IGN here. So, first off, we've got The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time remake. So, this was my prediction. It came real. Obviously, it was also part of the leak from Nate the Hate. I'm very excited. I've seen a lot of people discussing the art style and things like that. I am beyond excited, personally. I think the first thing that stood out to me, I mean, voice acting. So we're getting full voice acting, so that kind of opens up the path. I want to know, this, I think so far, is probably looking a bit more like a sort of Final Fantasy VII type remake, or I guess like the new Star Fox would probably be the better example, where it's, if I had to guess, I would assume it's sort of taking the base game of Ocarina of Time and giving us more lore, probably more cutscenes, dialogue. So I think just more immersing us in the world of Ocarina of Time, which I think is a great thing. That's the thing I've wanted for Ocarina of Time. I would love to know more, because, I mean, maybe it's just a personal thing, but sometimes I'm watching some videos on Ocarina of Time lore, shout out Commonwealth Realm, but I just think sometimes I'm like, damn, like, this sounds really cool, but I do not remember seeing any of this in game. Like, maybe I was just watching blind, but stuff like the Hyrule Civil War, for example, like, I'd love to see maybe going into that into a little bit of detail, maybe something like that, or maybe even if they want to add more gameplay without adding more, like, dungeons and areas, maybe just, like a prologue that shows the Hyrule Civil War. I don't know who you would play as, maybe just, like, some random soldier, but I just think that would be a really neat addition. Another thing that I really liked, so this is to do with the graphics. I love Link's design, at least, like, young Link, of what we've seen. Particularly, I love his outfit. His outfit looks amazing. I'm just looking at it here. I love how, like, it looks so, like, straw and, like, raggedy, and it looks like he's just, like, well, I mean, what he is, a sort of broke little elf boy with absolutely no one looking after him or anything. He's just sort of there. I really like it. I really like it. I've seen a lot of discussion, like, whether people like how he looks. Overall, I think the game looks visually stunning, but obviously this is just a animated trailer. Like, we have not seen any gameplay yet, so I think it's best to hold our horses. Speaking of, it's very odd we didn't see any gameplay, like, not even just like a 20-second snippet of Link just running around the Forbidden Woods. Forbidden Woods? What? Why am I getting confused? The Lost Woods. I don't know why they didn't just show us that, like, even just, again, just like the first, like, minute of gameplay. Because I think a lot of the negative reception, I think, is just around that. You know, this is a game that is releasing this year, 2026, and yet we're not seeing anything. Like, absolutely nothing. I mean, I think it is definitely a bit disappointing, but that also, I think, opens up the question of when are we going to see gameplay? And I'm going to bring this up now, before I forget. I think another thing we need to see more of is the Duskbloods. And so we didn't actually see the release date for Duskbloods, nor did we see anything really about the story or like the actual gameplay of the game, other than there's a online test coming up. So I think this, to me, just begs the question. So we've now got two of Nintendo's biggest titles of the year, and neither of them are having these like huge blowouts of information. So that gets my like speculation goggles turned up a little bit. So I'm thinking, is the possibility of a Nintendo Direct in September or October there? And I'm just thinking, I think there definitely is a bigger chance now because of that. Potentially open up with the Ocarina of Time remake, announce it for, you know, November, December, probably December if it's, especially if it's an October Direct, but just to show off gameplay, to show off what the game looks like to everyone. Same thing with Duskbloods, obviously, and then, obviously, from there, we'll see the other games we saw coming in 2027 or late 2026, and maybe, like, a couple new games, maybe some of the games that were predicted, but not, but no one really saw. So, yeah, I think that's enough on that. So, going on, Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts fans on the Switch are absolutely winning here. So, I think just to get it quickly out of the way, so Kingdom Hearts Collection 1 through 3. I mean, I think I've never played a Kingdom Hearts game before, so I think I'm definitely looking forward to that. I'm considering getting that for sure. And then the big one, Kingdom Hearts 4. This is crazy. I think showing off Kingdom Hearts 4 is one thing. I think we've known the game's in development for a while. But I think it's more so just the fact a Nintendo Direct announcing a Kingdom Hearts game, like showing off gameplay for the first time. I would have absolutely thought this would have been Sony's ballpark with the state of play. I guess not. So, yeah, Nintendo got first dibs on gameplay for Kingdom Hearts 4. And that was a decent gameplay trailer too. We saw some of the combat, the graphics, and I think it looks good. Obviously, I don't know how to really express it because I'm not a Kingdom Hearts fan, but I think everything I've seen from people who actually play Kingdom Hearts has been very positive. One of my friends, I've got a very good friend who's into Kingdom Hearts, and she was absolutely just raving about it. So, like, I'm gonna trust them on that. Anyway, Splatoon Raiders. This was an interesting trailer because, like, I feel like a lot of people are dismissing it, but I think the game looks good. And also, a new Direct coming soon, June 30th? So that's quite exciting. I think the game looks very good. I think the Direct will sort of make or break whether I decide to actually buy the game or not. I think I like the price tag of it, and I am a quite big Splatoon fan. I've played through all 3 Splatoon games. I've got like probably 300 hours combined, maybe even like more, 350 on the series as a whole. So like I love me some Splatoon, but I do think, I mean, there's a lot of questions about just single player for Splatoon, because I mean this is obviously a multiplayer series, so I think if the single player game doesn't really go well, I think it could be a bit iffy. Nintendo Switch Sports Resort. I am a little bit torn on this. So, in my reaction, I was very excited because, I mean, Wii Sports Resort was absolutely incredible. I love that game. But Switch Sports Resort, so it looks interesting, and I think being able to explore, like, Woohoo Island again, I saw, like, the skateboarding at least, it looks like you can hopefully explore. That looks really neat, but on the other hand, it also kind of just looks like Nintendo Switch Sports again. Like, a lot of the games looked just straight out of there. I'm a little bit iffy. I also think I remember seeing the price tag. I believe it was at like $50. So I think I'm just gonna have to see how I feel later down the line. But like, I'm a bit iffy on it right now. Also, that thumb wrestling segment went on way too long. I don't know why. Like, they absolutely could have just shown that all in the treehouse. I don't know why they decided, oh, let's have a treehouse but also show 5 minutes of gameplay. A single game mode in this. I don't know why. That's just a bit of an odd one to me. Xenoblade Genesis. So this was probably Nintendo's biggest announcement outside of the Ocarina of Time remake. So, a whole brand new Xenoblade game coming out in 2027. I'm not the biggest Xenoblade fan. Like, I've played the majority of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I didn't beat it, but I want to say I got to chapter 7, I think. So, wait, let me see how far that is actually in the game. Hold on. Xenoblade. 10 main chapters. So yeah, I think I got quite far. It's chapter 7 or chapter 8, I think. But anyway, that's besides the point. This is huge for obvious reasons. Like, Xenoblade is the premier JRPG series for Nintendo, and Monolith Soft, they're just absolute magic. They're stunning. I think one thing I definitely want to say though is, I remember back. I'm sounding like very old. I'm only 21, but I remember back when, you know, the Switch was first coming out and they were announcing Xenoblade Chronicles 2 for it, and everyone was like, oh, they're just gonna delay that again. Oh, like the Xenoblade team are terrible with keeping up to deadlines and like releasing games fast. And look at us now. I mean, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was in 2017. Then, you know, a few years later, you get Xenoblade Chronicles Remastered. Then you get Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And now Xenoblade Genesis, all in the span of 10 years. Just, wow. Four titles, including a remaster. So, I mean, Xenoblade fans have been eating incredibly well on the Switch 2. Or the Switch 1 and Switch 2. Speaking of, they've also got the Switch 2 versions of Xenoblade Chronicles 1, 2, and 3. I think that's great for the people who, like, are avid fans. I don't know if anyone else really cares, to be honest. Okay, yeah, these were some some decent announcements. So, Devil May Cry 5 and Lies of P. I didn't actually realize it was Lies of P until then. I'm just bundling these together because on the website they're right next to each other, but I think these are two just good ports. I think that's kind of what the Switch 2 needs. Just these big ports from, like, these, like, popular games, like, even just from the past, you know, like, 5-10 years. Like, just so, you know, you can incentivize actually getting a Switch 2 more. Like, I don't think there's a ton to say about them. I think they're very neat, but I think most of the people who wanted to play them probably already played them a couple years ago when they came out. But I think for people like myself who only own a Switch, I think it's really good. Deltarune Chapter 5. Oh, I'm very... This is just a personal thing. I'll probably put up my bingo card. So I put Silk Song because I was thinking... someone put in my mind, I think it was Kidea. I don't know if that's how you say her name, but I was thinking maybe like was it the Sea of Sorrow, I think it's called? The DLC they announced a while ago, and I was thinking to myself, okay, well, you know, Nintendo and Team Cherry have had a very close relationship for quite a while, so I'd say maybe there's a chance, and then it's like the one other huge indie game gets announced, but Silksong doesn't, so... Like, this is a great announcement. I have been meaning to get back into Deltarune for years now. I played Chapter 1 when it first came out, and then I did not touch Deltarune again since. And, like, I'm a huge Undertale guy. I think Undertale is one of the greatest indie games of all time, so I don't know why I haven't touched Deltarune. I just have not gotten around to it for quite some time. Maybe this will be finally the time I decide to throw everything to one side and finally actually just play Deltarune. Who knows? Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. So we finally got a release date and another trailer. I think the game looks very good. I think, obviously, I like the character design a lot. I think it looks a lot more unique than some other Fire Emblems with just, you know, blue-haired, generic anime protagonist. But, I think the game looks very solid, although I do have one main concern, and that is its price tag. That, like, it was a $80 physical edition, and $70 digital. That is incredibly rough. For some people, Mario Kart, I can understand, at least in the terms of, you know, you're going to get thousands of hours. Like, some people get hundreds, if not thousands. They're going to bring Mario Kart everywhere. Fire Emblem? I don't think that is... Like, I think that is pretty ridiculous. Charging $80. Like, even if it's only for the physical version, that is ridiculous in my opinion. I don't think it is a brand necessarily with that kind of draw. And I think that was the one thing that turned me off even considering getting it. Like, I'm not a Fire Emblem fan, however, I have been meaning to get into the series for quite some time. In fact, like, on my 3DS, I actually have Fire Emblem Fates downloaded right now. I just have not touched it. Although, I don't know if I'm going to play Fates or if I'm going to get Awakening and play that first. I'm not sure. But either way, I've been meaning to get into the series for a while, but I think it's definitely a bit of a setback, that price point, for me personally. So, Pokemon Pokopia DLC. This actually is really neat. I like that they're giving the game consistent updates after launch. And I said this during the Direct, but I like how Pokemon Pokopia is doing the, like, consistent updates past launch for a few years way better than Animal Crossing New Horizons ever could have dreamed of doing. Like, Animal Crossing New Horizons, I mean, what, it had like a year of DLC, and probably the biggest wave was them getting the Mario stuff, then the paid DLC. But, like, the base game still kind of sucked, to be honest. I haven't actually touched Animal Crossing since... Or, I actually don't think I've touched it this year, so... I haven't seen the newest update, because I know they did update it a few months ago. I doubt it's been that much, though, to, like, actually save Animal Crossing New Horizons. Like, it's a solid game and all, but I just don't think it's that good. Especially compared to New Leaf anyway, so little New Horizons rant aside, I think Pokemon Pokopia DLC, I love that for the game. I've been needing to get Pokopia as well. I think a recurring trend on this discussion for sure, but I think it's really nice that it's getting DLC. Also, I think one thing I did see, so a lot of people have been talking about system sellers for the Switch 2. I don't know why people don't recognize Pokopia as a system seller. I think two of the biggest system sellers for the Switch 2 that I have seen have been Pokemon Pokopia, Tomodachi Life Living the Dream. People really underestimate the reach of those two games. Like, those two games have such huge draws. Like, just the casual, like, chill, the laid-back, chill vibe. You know, take it at your own pace, calm, fun. Like, I think people really underestimate the draw of those games. Like, so I've seen some people say that because there's no 3D Mario, there's no system seller, but I genuinely think, I would argue, there are at least 5 games on the Switch 2 right now that are system sellers. I would say Mario Kart World, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Pokemon Pokopia, Tomodachi Life Living the Dream, and now Ocarina of Time Remake. Well, obviously that's not on the Switch right now, but it's coming this year. I think those are big enough to incentivize buying a Switch 2. I mean, if you actually want to take it a bit further, I think you could also argue Pokemon Winds and Waves too, so... but obviously that is a lot further away than Ocarina of Time. As, I mean, Pokemon... It's hard to say because obviously they did announce it incredibly early, but if it's coming out in 2027, I'm just gonna guess that it's gonna be a holiday title, because Pokemon, they love that holiday slot, like anywhere from October to December. I mean, usually October, November. I think that's where Pokemon will lie. Rayman Legends Retold. So we already knew this was coming to the Switch 2. I'm just going to talk about this for a little bit because I am incredibly excited. Rayman Legends is my 4th favourite game of all time. I absolutely adore this game. It is incredible. I think it's the greatest 2D platformer of all time. I think the movement is fun, the world is lively, and like everything about it I just love. It's such a great time. So I think having that be remade on the Switch 2, plus also, I don't remember if it's just the physical version or what, but I know there is at least a version, it might just be pre-order bonus, but you can get Rayman Origins Remastered as well, alongside it for $40. That is such a good deal. If you're watching this and you have not played Rayman Legends, you gotta give it a go. I think it is absolutely stunning. I love the personality, the wacky vibe, the worlds are fun, the music courses are absolutely godly. The bosses are all pretty unique and interesting. I think, again, it's just a complete package for a platformer. So yeah, I think that is all for like the games directly. I think I'm just now gonna just yap about just other things in general. So I think I've seen a lot of reaction. I think some people are very scared of the future for Nintendo, at least like the short-term future of 2026. I think some people have definitely been trying to say that the future looks dry. I actually heavily disagree though. I think, me personally, I've got a lot of games I've been meaning to play for a while. I still need to finish my Majora's Mask playthrough. I've got just the final dungeon, plus I'll do probably quite a few side quests before finishing the game. But even still, I've got that. I've also got, I want to at least play something maybe like a Pokemon Mystery Dungeon I've been in the mood for recently. Obviously Fire Emblem, I want to start playing that series, get into that. I've been meaning to finish Donkey Kong Bonanza and Cyberpunk for ages now, basically since I got my Switch 2. So I've got a lot of games I need to finish. But I think the thing for me at least is I think if you're looking to the future for the Switch 2, I think it looks very bright. I mean, so what we know for the rest of the year, we have Ocarina of Time Remake, Star Fox Remake, Switch Sports, Rhythm Heaven, Splatoon Raiders, and Fire Emblem. So I think, what, six games, 6 months. So approximately one first-party title per month. On top of that, I also think some of these titles are, I think, quite big. Obviously, Splatoon, Zelda, Fire Emblem, if you're into that. But actually, why not? I'm going to discuss it here. I think that 2027 will be the best year Nintendo has seen since 2017. In fact, I might go as far to say I think it might be one of Nintendo's best years ever. I am that confident in 2027. I know we have seen barely anything of it, but allow me to just explain my reasoning. So, we already know of 2 games coming in 2027. Xenoblade Genesis and Pokemon Winds and Waves. Those are 2 huge titles. You have Pokemon, which is like, it's fucking Pokemon. It's gonna move a couple million, 10 million units, you know, or tens of millions, should I say. And Xenoblade, I mean, that's Nintendo's like premier RPG or JRPG series, outside of, I guess, Pokemon, if you count. I guess more so traditional JRPG. But anyway, so you have 2 bombshell games that we already know of. So all I'm saying is, imagine what we don't know. Like, Nintendo, especially recently, I think after things like Metroid Prime 4 happened, I think Nintendo have started to stray further away from announcing games when they're just early in development. I think Nintendo now prefer to announce things within the next year. Like, if it's announced, it's coming out within the year. So, I think because of that, there's still a ton of stuff we have no clue of. And why I think that is huge is, I think we're going to go into leaks and rumors, but 3D Mario was leaked to be 2027. You're going to have Pokemon, Xenoblade, and Mario in 1 year. That is absurd. And that is only 3 titles. On top of that, Mario Kart DLC was also rumoured for 2027, so that's a bombshell DLC drop to get people reinvested in Mario Kart. And I think then you have to start thinking about, okay, what about the other titles? I mean, Kirby will probably be due a title, because Kirby always has a title every, like, 2 or 3 years. And I think, I want to say that the newest Kirby title dropped in 2024. So I think the next Kirby game, I think, should be 2027. On top of that, I mean, I've heard some people suggesting maybe Smash Bros. I don't know about that, but for the sake of speculation, we're gonna throw Smash Bros. In there. I mean, if you have, Kirby, Mario, Smash Bros, Xenoblade, that is your year, if you're Nintendo. Like, 2027 is Nintendo's year, I think. I think, just, if I'm gonna be honest, I think 2027 is just going to be stacked. Because, especially, I think, people want to be sold on the Switch 2. Understandably so, because, I mean, with any new console, you're going to want a reason to buy it. So, I think seeing these huge titles, I think that's going to cause a lot of people to hop on board. Oh, another thing, I just completely forgot. People were talking about Luigi's Mansion 4. Because Next Level Games has not had a game in quite some time, so I think that's another feather you can add to that cap. And maybe it's just me, I think the obligatory new Mario Sports game is probably gonna come soon. I mean, Mario Tennis Fever didn't really do that well, but I mean, I think you're always kind of expecting one. Maybe a Mario Party instead. I actually think... Actually, no, yeah, scratch that. I think Mario Party, we could absolutely see a new one coming in 2027, because I'm just... Jamboree, I believe, was 2024 as well. Super Mario Party Jamboree was, yeah, 17th of October 2024. So, I mean, I think Mario Party, you can usually bank on it being every 3-4 years. So I'd say we're kind of due by 2027. So, I mean, what? Just going off the list, and this is not talking about any third parties or indies or anything like that. Just firing off the list, what? 3D Mario, Luigi's Mansion, Mario Party. I completely forgot about this too. Metroid. I think Metroid is due. So I'm just kind of firing stuff off. I think Metroid is due a new title. Or should I say 2D Metroid, not 3D. Not the Metroid Prime series. We just had Prime 4. And I mean, some people are very mixed on it. Let's just say that. Personally, I liked it, but I mean, obviously, it's a very divisive entry in the series. But I think you gotta think. So, Metroid Dread sold 3 million units. That's of what we know. It could have been more. And I just think, me personally, you make the best 2D entry in the series. Personally, I think that's the case. Don't flame me in the comments. But, I will say, I think it's kind of just, you know, it's been 5 years now since the last 2D Metroid game. I mean, as a Metroid fan, I'm used to long waits, but I think, you know, Mercury Steam and Nintendo would be really sitting on a gold mine by not making a new one. I think a new Metroid, I think, is at least relatively likely. I like, if I'm putting it on a little thermometer, it's going to be quite hot. You know, I'd say like an 8 out of 10 likelihood. So I would say overall, if we're talking just everything I've mentioned, Metroid, 3D Mario, Mario Party, Luigi's Mansion, Smash Bros, Kirby, Xenoblade, mainline Pokemon, Mario Kart DLC, so that's like 9 big games plus the Mario Kart DLC. Like, that's gonna be huge. Like, now, is all of that going to happen in one single year? Absolutely fucking not. However, I do think there is a very good likelihood that at the bare minimum, like 5 of those things, 4 or 5 of those things happen. If I had to guess right now, obviously you're taking a shot in the dark, but obviously we know Xenoblade and Pokemon. I think 3D Mario, I think, is very likely for next year. And I would also say I would expect... I'll go Mario Party. I think it's kind of safe to bank on that. Plus, I'd also say I think Metroid is very likely. So, even still, like, a year of Xenoblade, Pokemon, Mario Party, 3D Mario, and Metroid... Like, if that happened, I would genuinely... I would not be putting my Switch 2 down. That is an insane lineup. Whether it happens or not, again, a different question. But this is all speculation, just for fun. Anyway, I think I've been talking... I'm probably going to edit this down, but I've been talking for damn near 40 minutes now, so... With all that said and done,